Hey family, how you guys doing? Welcome to Phie.Love Intuitive Conversations. I hope you guys are good. Yeah. If you like my content, please do like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, if there's any negativity, if there's any hate, keep that on your side of the street, okay? It won't be acknowledged. So, family, in this video, I'm being guided by Spirit to get into talking a little bit about how can we reframe and apply a different perspective to an approach, maybe, if you're willing, to how we engage the different kinds of relationships that we exist with and have around us in our lives, and how those relationships affect us, right? We are extremely aligned to the labels and the programming, and I think there are a few videos in the past that I've done that have somewhat touched on this topic in some way, shape, or form from a different angle. However, in this video, I'm being guided to kind of getting into more detail around how we, from the perspective of self, right, and the experience that the self goes through when engaging certain relationships around us, but approaching it from a perspective of detaching from the label and detaching from the programming, right? But of course, when you do that, you would have to first, become a little self-aware and recognize where the programming around the label is actually affecting you and how you engage the relationship. Yes. So let's take a friend, for example, right? A friend or a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Those labels come with expectations. They come with a kind of script and way of being, right? That you've learned in society to adhere to when you engage such a kind of relationship. And because we are programmed to put the energy and the focus in creating the experience on the outside with the person, we're not taught or programmed to become aware on how that specific experience with that person is, how we as individuals experience that person. So you can experience the outside aspects of the relationship and whatever moments you together decide to create with one another, and that's somehow the focus around where most of the energy gets directed into, right? But when we're in that space, we don't ever kind of take an observer's point of view to observe the self. How am I in this relationship? Okay, what could the divine, what could this person, what could the divine be using, or what could aspects about this person and my experience of this person, what could the purpose of them and my experience of them in this lifetime be bringing to me and trying to highlight? What aspects within me? What is my experience of this person? What happens within me when I'm engaging this person? What aspects of myself does this person highlight? Where am I? Where can I be more aware? Is this someone in my life who is here to teach me how to trust? Is this someone in my life who is here to, give me the experience of being able to trust somebody? Or is this someone in my life who is here to teach me to, not trust everybody? Am I too gullible? Am I too open? What kind of aspects about myself does this individual highlight? What are the lessons? I'm always talking about the lessons, but that's what it is, right? what aspects of myself is this individual highlighting? What is my experience of them? Not what my experience is with them, but from the perspective of self and me as an individual. How am I experiencing them in a way to help enhance, grow, and build myself? You could have a friend who maybe comes into your space and they may possess an energy or a way of being that displays outwardly a lack of restraint. And that energy and way of being may amplify those aspects within yourself, right? If you're self-aware, you would be able to, sit back and take a detached position within yourself and your experience and your relationship with the person, right? And, be like, well, when this person comes around, I tend to not have as much control over my, my decisions, my restraint, the choices that I make, the things that I do, how much I do of something. I tend to maybe embody their energy, not realizing that, it's them. When they come into my space, I start taking on their, aspects of them and their behavior. But instead of, looking at it that way to see how, the difference between your energy and theirs could be highlighted, and where a change happens when you come into each other's space, we tend to be very focused on the outside aspect of it, right? Focused on the aspects that have been programmed into us of having to be accepted, having to keep one another busy, having to occupy quiet time, having to occupy space and stay active and distracted, or whatever else it is. But we don't ever take the time to sit and really introspect and ask ourselves, well, what about this difficult girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or wife? What about them? Is it that could the divine be using to have them in my life to highlight certain aspects within me? Maybe by the time I learn to build my boundaries, maybe by the time I learn to prioritize myself and not be taken over by gaslighting and all those things, if I can recognize those things and find my ground, my boundaries, and respect myself and my own boundaries, and I show the universe and myself by exercising those things, the experience disappears. The experience is moved out of my life. The experience is moved out of my space. And eventually the energy cords are cut. Because your energy has changed. The way you engage such an energy, such a person with a way of being changes, and you no longer resonate with that. It's no longer something you need to learn. Because in the future you would be able to pick up, and recognize someone's way of being. Because you learn not to embody their energy. You learn not to allow someone else's energy to take you over. You learn not to be not to be completely engulfed in the experience with them. But start learning how to kind of take your relationships from the perspective of my experience of them. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. They could be trying to teach you loyalty. Or they could be there to give you an experience of somebody who is loyal. But you'll only understand these things if you pay attention to self. And if you pay attention to self and recognize as well, what have you been needing? What do I need? What does this person highlight in my life that I need? Because no one comes into our lives that we don't need. We need them to either help us build ourselves up. We need them to either provide us with an experience that we maybe haven't had before. We need them maybe to, help us with co-creating other things, it's an array of things. But we need to try and remove ourselves from focusing only on the physical aspect of it, from the label aspect, and from the programming aspect of it, and all the expectations that are born out of the lack programming. When we, to a degree, we have it all mixed up. What we need is not what we need. What we've been programmed to believe we need out of somebody is not what we need. What we need in our experience of them is for them to highlight the aspects within ourselves that we either need to appreciate, that we either need to build, change, recognize, and allow to boost ourselves and our confidence. Maybe someone's coming into your life to, help balance out other things. Maybe you have, I'll give an example, okay? My mother is a very reactive person, right? Aggressive person. She's the person who just pops off at anything. It's like it's a need. She's wired that way. And growing up, this can be applied to any relationship. I'm just explaining where I had to, where she was the biggest. She was the person in my life who taught me by my experience of her and learning how to understand myself, that taught me how to recognize that kind of dynamic between myself and other people. She has a very extroverted energy as well, right? She has an energy that tends to fill the entire space. So the moment she pops off, the moment she's angry, especially if it's anger that is directed towards you, naturally, she's somebody who requires whoever she's directing the anger towards to match her on that energy. Me being an empath as a child and, in my 20s, I never understood why so easily the moment her energy of anger, her energy of aggression, her energy of attack would automatically put me into that energy as well. And it would then create a whole lot of conflict and standoff. But, as I started moving in through my awakening process and recognizing, and learning through spirit how to tell the difference between my energy and someone else's energy, I learned that in my experience of her, she had one of her purposes in my life was to teach me how to recognize how someone else's energy affects my energy, and how I had a tendency, because I was unaware of my own energy, I was unaware of how my energy would mesh with other people's energy. How I would then embody the energy of somebody else, embody her energy, when that wasn't really how I naturally am. So also, where in your experience of others do you recognize that, they project their energy onto you and you embody that energy? Where do you think that you're actually, meeting with someone on the same level when maybe that's not who you are? Maybe it's just who you are when they're around, because their extroverted energy also is, it has a tendency to, how do I explain this? Their extroverted energy has a tendency to fill the space and the energy of the people that they engage with. Whereas people who are more introverted, they're not, they're not outward with their energy. So then they end up absorbing everything. But once you understand this, you start learning how to put up the different energy barriers. You start learning how to build yourself in different aspects. I hope this is all making sense. I do understand that it might be something that is, might be more perceptible to people who on a different vibration or level of understanding, but nonetheless it's something you can learn from and something you can always take time to sit back and think and ponder about, right? Where could your experience of somebody be teaching you patience, highlighting maybe an aspect within you that is impatient? Where could they be teaching you consistency? Where could they be teaching you commitment? Empathy. Where could they be teaching you where could they be teaching you how to be more of a giving person, or somebody who learns how to receive? Spirit might place somebody into your life. You might be an amazing and a very big giver, right? And you might find the divine sees that you've been surrounded by, by many takers throughout your life. So they bring into your life somebody who's a giver, and it's someone who teaches you how to receive. But if you're not aware of that, and you're not somebody who receives very easily, you're going to reject them. And what are you going to do? You're going to shoo away your blessing, right? So it's really important to become aware of yourself. Get to know yourself independently from other people. Get to know yourself, with a mindset of not trying to get to know yourself so that you can be a part of that, trying to find what aspects of yourself are just like other people. No. Try to get to know yourself as an individual without judgment and without the ideas that have been seeded into you that cause you to judge yourself according to how you think the world is judging other people and you. So take a higher perspective, take a bigger view on why certain people might be in your life, and what about them. What about them? What is it about them that could, turn out to be the purpose for them being in your life? And, by recognizing that, you might also learn how to not really handle everybody in your life with the need to attach. Because if you recognize where they're supposed to challenge you and bring the lesson out, once you learn the lesson, once you've overcome the challenge, and they don't really have much of a use for you in your life anymore, and you no longer handle people in your life from a place of needing to attach, it makes a very big difference, right? I hope what I've been saying is making sense. I will tackle this from a different perspective maybe next time and see how it goes. But I'll wrap it up over there for now and pull a card from the Miracle Cards by Marianne Williamson, okay? And see what Spirit has to offer us over here as some support to the video, or a nudge or someone who's watching a nudge in a specific direction, okay? Spirit, may I please have one card? Opportunity. Every single person, when you take the perspective we're talking about now with your relationships and your experience of somebody, you recognize where there's a whole lot of opportunities that you have for yourself, your forward movement, your growth, and your elevation, by simply paying attention and trying to understand your experience of them with regards to self. Okay? Your experience of somebody, and recognizing where it highlights, certain aspects of yourself, moves you into a place also of self-mastery, because then you consciously pay attention to the aspects of yourself that may need some adjusting, may need some practice, may need a higher perspective, or maybe it can be exercised more to have your outside world benefit you, right? So the card says, our corner of the universe is our own life. Our relationships, our homes, our work, exactly as they are. Every situation we find ourselves in is an opportunity perfectly planned by God to teach love instead of fear. That was nice. That was very nice, and I think aligned beautifully. So yeah, family, I'll see you in the next video. I hope this has resonated, and yeah, bye.